I call this meeting back to order at 2:22 p.m., Sunday, September 8th. Do I hear a motion to suspend roll call by unanimous consent? All right, I'm just going to repeat what happened really quickly. In a vote of 4-1 the motion to move into the consideration of the ASOE nominations passed. We are now in line for nomination number 1, A. Morris, Morris. We are now in line for 5 minutes to go over the application materials, beginning now. Does anyone need more time?
I have a question. Why is part of the resume redacted? Is that just like
FERPA reasons. Yep, because not everyone here is FERPA trained or in the Senate chamber, so they have to have certain information redacted. All right, so we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate on the candidate, beginning now.
Oh, yes. This candidate seems like well trained, like they have a lot of, from their resume and from their reasonings for the prior experiences, they seem like they have real experience for this type of role, and they seem like they have passion. I like their idea for increasing transparency. I think in an election, and like transparency is one of the key things that people will look out for. I like that they're focusing on that. I like that they have real experience with that. They seem like a good candidate.
I like that she's related her previous experiences into what she could bring, talking about her attention to detail and communication, and wanting to make things more efficient, which I think is really important.
I also really like this candidate's ideas with the idea of clear documentation of election procedures and decisions, increasing transparency. I also think that her resume has a lot of great, impressive experiences that would equip her to serve in this role.
Does anyone not like this candidate?
I actually like this candidate. I think they have good transferable skills. The only thing is, like, I wish they would have gone into more detail in their ideas, because although like increasing transparency and clear documentation, they're good ideas, it's just a little vague for me. Like, increase transparency, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah,
in your head?
I agree. I wish we could have the candidate here to like speak more on it. That's like, it's the shortest part of the application, and that like sucks. I feel like I want to hear the most about that, but I feel like it doesn't discredit the candidate.
Yeah, I think the resume has great experience in it.
Yeah, it sounds like you can read a lot of the passion, even in that third paragraph. Yeah.
Cool.
Is there any more debate?
Yeah, just as like an archivist, a research intern for a historical society, and as a legal intern, she seems like she has a lot of specialized skills that'd be good for this role.
Cool.
Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to approve Anjali Madeline Morris for ASOE by unanimous consent.
Information, isn't it recommended?
Yeah,
sorry,
technically we're just
sorry.
recommending to the Senate
Yeah, okay. I move to approve the recommendation. Is that what she's saying?
to recommend candidate Morris
Okay,
to the
recommend
Senate.
candidate Morris to the Senate for ASOE by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes.
My apologies for.
Oh yeah, it's a weird motion. We are now in line for candidate Alexis Rowe, A, and then last name R-O-W-E. 5 minutes to go over the application materials, beginning now.
Can I get the last name one more time, please?
Rowe, R-O-W-E. A.
Thank you.
Does anyone need any more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate on the candidate.
I think it's great that she has been able to serve in the fall 2023 and spring 2024 elections. She talks about how she has been equipped to oversee these voting sites, and she goes into the different polling locations. She also mentions that she can use those experiences to relay it to this upcoming election if she's picked to do so. And she seems just very, she has the experiences.
Yeah. So the biggest thing with this candidate's favor, in my opinion, is their previous experiences. Like, they've done 2 elections already. They probably know how. They're probably pretty proficient. Like we spoke on the last candidate, I wish they were here to speak more on their new ideas. Like, their idea section still feels kind of vague, but I imagine, having served in 2 previous elections, that they know what they're talking about. They know how they want to implement what they want to do, and like the things they talk about seem like real practical issues that I feel like would genuinely make stuff better if she was implemented. So I like this candidate.
I want to touch on her ideas. She mentions common, simple technological bugs.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen plenty of those in our different elections, so I think it's good that she's aware of that and like she knows what to do in those situations.
I agree. That's what I'm like. She seems like she's like practical experience. Like, that's something that someone who's worked in the field knows. So she's like a good candidate.
Yeah, she had a lot of great insight whenever it came to polling locations, but also I thought it was pretty profound whenever she said she was interested in like reducing the stress on the SOE, because obviously they have to deal with a lot of problems during the election season. I thought that was really insightful, but also she's held a bunch of leadership positions in all kinds of other organizations that I thought were interesting.
I agree.
I'm going to point out that one thing that does concern me that I'm hopeful can be answered by someone is March of Dimes Collegiate Council is an SG-funded organization. In the 700 codes, it states that the Assistant Supervisor of Elections shall not be an executive officer of any SG-funded organization during their term as Assistant Supervisor of Elections. I do not know what constitutes an executive officer in that organization, but that needs to be answered.
That is great.
All right.
That was the reading one, so we're fine.
Isn't the bigger mint also SG pendant?
So the big event is SG, and you have to be one of the agency heads listed in the exclusionary offices to not be an ASOE for that, which this candidate is not.
So Director of Family Missions.
I don't know if that is the executive board, and I can check. I'm going to check on the website really quickly because let me log in. Because technically it does list them, and if this person's not on the list, then I believe it's fine. But we do need to make sure we're not doing that for anyone on this list.
Is that a type of... Should we... I think should we talk to the candidate before approving, just to be sure that we're not, like, just stepping on anything logistical? Or
So here's, okay, when you go on Gator Connect, it allows you to look up the student organizations, and on the officers and advisors section, I consider that the executive board. If they're not listed there, it is not the executive board.
Okay.
So the people listed here does not include that candidate.
Okay.
So I believe that directorship is not part of the executive board.
Okay. Great.
Um,
Are there any other concerns with this candidate?
Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to recommend candidate Alexis Rowe to the Student Senate for the ASOE position by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. Yes. Just for a quick point, may I address the clerk really quickly?
Yeah, what's up?
For Greek organizations, they're not SG funded, and I don't know how that goes into this.
Greek funded
They're-
organizations are as if they're third-party entities.
Okay,
They
that's
are
what I
affiliated
believed.
Under sorority and fraternity life.
That's okay.
But they don't get any
Any fund.
strategic funding.
That's what I thought, okay.
So yeah.
Just wanted to clarify in case we see an applicant with that again.
No, yeah, they're like, I mean, the office supports their activities, but.
Yeah, okay. So just so everyone knows, membership on an executive board would not preclude any candidates from being an ASOE.
Yeah.
All right, we are now in line for the third candidate, Jacob Veeder, Veeder.
BEEDER.
Correct.
Alright.
J first initial. Everyone has 5 minutes to look over the materials whenever they're ready. Does anyone need any more time? Seeing none, we are now in line for 5 minutes of debate on candidate
Can I
Veeder.
get your full name real quick?
Daniel Weinberger, to me spell it.
DANIELWEINBERGER.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect, awesome.
Just so everyone knows, I think we should go slightly quicker
Yeah.
for these next few, because there are 20 of them. All right, let the record reflect that Senator Weinberger is now present. All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate on candidate Veeder. Beginning now.
I will say I do wish they had it extended or written a little bit more on their application. I feel like that is a really big part of applying to an ASOE. But I thought they had really interesting ideas, unique ideas, presenting to GBMs. I haven't ever heard that before. And talking about stationing SAOEs to their closest classes. And then when you take a look at his resume, it is full of experiences that I think could be related to this position.
Yeah, I agree. I think this kind of falls in line with the similar stuff we've been talking about. Like, they have good ideas. I wish they were here to speak on it more. This application especially, I wish was a bit more detailed. But like the last candidate, they were previously an ASOE, so I imagine they have practical experience and are ready to take on this position. And yeah, like as you said, I like the club GBM. I like the motivation of wanting to bring more people to the polls, like actually get everyone to vote. I think that's an overall good goal. So yeah, I'm for this candidate overall.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the fact that they were ASOE already definitely speaks to the fact that they know what they're doing and, you know, they have personal experience. I do have a question though, just, probably not though, but Data Girl is not SG funded, right?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
It's also, yeah, this also isn't an executive position.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. All right, any more debate? Seeing none, now in line for any motions.
I move to recommend Jacob Veeder as ASOE nomination to the Senate floor by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for candidate, how do I say that? Hilliker, Carolyn. Oh no, it's C, sorry. Carolyn Hilliker. So
Okay,
C
H.
Hillliker.
Okay, so C period Hillliker.
Perfect.
All right, perfect.
All right, 5 minutes beginning now to go over materials.
Is there another member of the committee that's missing?
Yes, Megan McGuire.
Megan McGuire, and that's it?
That's it. There's one open seat on Judiciary as of right now. Yeah, 7 members. Yeah.
Megan H. McGuire.
Ooh, the resumes.
Wait, Megan H. McGuire?
I'm just asking, do you know the middle? Like, is that the
Oh,
right thing? You
I don't
just
know the
Megan
middle in there.
McGuire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have someone popping up. That's fine.
Does anyone need more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate beginning now.
It does concern me a little bit that this candidate is a freshman who only has high school experience. I mean, that's not to say that the skills they have there aren't transferable, but like specifically, she highlights a lot like the student government experience she had in high school. And I don't know about you, but my high school student government was nowhere near like student government here. So I wonder if that could be like a detriment to her, the little learning curve, but she's not gonna really know the extent of the elections here.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I will say though, we have approved or recommended freshmen before, I think even last meeting. But I mean, UF has one of the largest student governments, and I think that the fact that she does have student government experience does help her situation. Again, I wish we could hear more about the ideas, but I think her last part about making sure nothing is conflicting, that's a good idea.
I understand the concerns about her being an incoming freshman, but just the fact that she's applying is like eager to continue her student government experience here and just get more involved, still should be in class.
Yeah, I share the same concerns about her being a freshman, but I think she has the best experiences. Like being in any student government is all we can ask for a freshman applicant. You know what I mean? She like just got here, especially she's just applying. So I think for her position, she's like a good candidate. And also having someone come in now, like so early into their student government career, would potentially make someone very experienced moving forward. She seems like someone we just like. I'm not against her. You know what I mean? Like she's like
She seems like she gets involved heavily in all the extracurriculars she's listed. I'm not really familiar about the Tim Tebow Night to Shine Foundation, but 4-time All-American, captain for 4 years, president for 2 years. She has a lot of worthwhile experience.
yeah.
Any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to approve, or I move to recommend C. Hlicker to student senate by unanimous consent for the ASOE position.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for S. Hussey, Hussey.
HUSSEY?
Yes.
I'm good, girl.
All right. 5 minutes beginning now.
Did you get the meeting minutes, Aaron?
Do you share that with my personal or judicial? Oh, yep. Got it. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then, I only had it on comment status just so that like it preserves like the integrity of the doc.
Yeah,
but,
totally fine.
If you need to like make a copy, you can make a copy or download it. Like,
Okay,
you're
yeah.
not restricted in the way that I have it.
Yeah, totally fine. All right. Anyone need any more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate beginning now.
It's very clear she is very well-rounded and has a lot of the experiences we're looking for. I mean, I don't really need to go into the resume because we all have read it, but she was already an ASOE, and she did that for 2 semesters. I think that's really great. She's also a senior, so I think that helps her.
Yeah, I agree. She has good ideas. She seems like she cares a lot. Like, does anyone dislike this candidate? It's well-rounded applicant.
I'm later.
Okay.
Any more debate? Seeing none, any motions?
I move to recommend Sarah Hussey as ASOE nomination to consent for the unanimous consent.
Any objections? Seeing none, the motion passes. Is anyone opposed to doing 2 minutes and 2 minutes
Yeah,
instead
I
of
think
5
that's
and
probably
5?
better.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good because that's completely up to us. We are now in line for candidate Emily Keller.
Oh.
That is E. Keller, Keller.
Okay.
What do we do about
She
no resume? No
she didn't consent to providing.
Correct.
Awesome.
Yes.
Provide any what?
Providing her application materials.
Yes.
H. Keller.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, E. Keller.
E. Keller.
E. Keller.
Sorry.
Okay.
All right. We have 2 minutes beginning now.
Well,
Anyone have any more, need any more time to go over the materials? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of debate.
can we like table her until we can get her stuff?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
So wait, she didn't consent, but if she didn't consent, then are you gonna ask her to waive her consent? Cause
I don't know actually what the.
Because I think if she doesn't consent to giving you materials, then she didn't send you an application. That means that
Yes.
she doesn't
Is the
Yes.
application closed? Is she able to reapply? Do we know? I mean, I don't think it's closed.
I'm not trying to like.
No, that's a good- that's a
I'm just
good
trying to
point.
give you like a logical fact.
No, I don't
Yes.
think. Yeah, don't you have to say like
Once
I
those
consent
things
to?
We should
just
Yeah.
table it and figure it out. We
Yeah,
should
that's
reach out
fine.
and
Yeah.
find out.
Yeah.
We should table it right now.
Yes.
Forgot to click the box.
But yes, please,
Yeah.
please, no one try to encourage this individual to waive their their rights. If you know whoever this is,
You never know nowadays, guys.
please do not do that. But yes, we're fine tabling this for now. I can ask. Yeah. Anyway, we could figure that out later. Are there any motions at this time?
Motion
Go ahead.
to table ASOE nomination M.E. Keller by unanimous consent.
Any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We're now in line for candidate Karen Gomez Velasquez. That is, I'm assuming, I don't know if that's, yeah. I think the last name is Gomez.
Oh yeah.
It's K Gomez.
Yeah.
But it's like a.
I don't know if it's hyphenated.
Gomez Velasquez.
Yeah. However you'd like to indicate that on the minutes is great. All right, 2 minutes beginning now.
It's just text.
Does anyone need more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of debate beginning now.
I think her point in her resume that she promoted nonpartisan civic participation and raising awareness about different elections, that's really important, and I think that makes her really qualified.
Yeah, I like her. Like it's like I sound like the same thing, but I wish she was here to speak more on her ideas. But I like her ideas. I like the voter education campaign. I like the idea of using using digital tools to make it better. I think our campaign has room for improvement. So I like everything she's saying. I wish I could hear more about it because it's quite brief in the application, but no reason to not approve the candidate.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Cool.
So she has valuable legal experience and
Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
Move to approve Karen Gomez, recommend Karen Gomez to the Senate floor for ASOE nomination by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for candidate Alexandra Perks, last name P-E-R-K-S.
A.P.E.R.K.S.
Yes.
Are we?
2 minutes beginning now. Does anyone need more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of debate beginning now.
This one, it is a little painful that she gave one-worded responses for two of the answers, but one thing I would like to say is that even the most, you can seem like an experience might not be able to be related to a certain position, but I think a lot of experiences like teaching young toddlers how to swim can be something that she can use in this position. I think she's a freshman. Yeah, she's a freshman. Based off of her resume, it seems to me that she may be able to learn quickly. I want to hear what you guys think.
This application is just like not real.
Weak application.
Yeah, a little bit, and then the
It's hard coming out as a freshman.
yeah, I feel like she probably just like I feel like I can't even judge the candidate based off of this application. Like she's I'm not against her. Like I said with the other freshman candidate, I think bringing freshmen in very quickly to learn is always valuable.
Right.
This application is just crazy.
Yeah, if she was here, I really feel like I would be more okay with
Yeah.
recommending her, but to me, I think it might be valuable if we table her for now.
Yeah, I do wish that she was here to like explain, but there are like some grammatical errors in
Yeah.
her answers
Uh-huh.
that throw me off personally. And like in a previous candidate, when I was bringing up the lack of experience, like at least they had leadership both in high school
Yeah.
Right.
and had student government experience. I don't really see that
I would agree.
for her application.
With Love, the second question answer being, I want to get involved because it was impossible due to students voting with it for the positions. It's like it feels like she was unprepared for the application. Like I want to,
Yeah.
I think tabling is probably the best option.
Yeah.
All right, any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions.
I move to table ASOE nomination A Perks by unanimous consent.
That was
Are there
awesome.
are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. Also, I'd like to remind everyone that we should be maybe a little bit more respectful about the applications in general, even though some of the candidates might not be as well-rounded as others. We want to make sure that those who do apply to these positions always feel included and not attacked for what they've accomplished in their lives. We are now in line for candidate Tatiana Mendirata, and that's T, and last name Mendirata.
All right, Mendirata.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm good.
All right, 2 minutes beginning now.
How long is this meeting supposed to go for?
We have the room till 4:15. Yeah, then RNA gets the room. All right, does anyone need any more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of debate beginning now.
I really like her answers to the questions.
Yeah.
I think they're forward and she articulates herself well. Again, like I kind of wish she were here to talk about the ideas and expand on them a little bit more, but the idea itself is good.
Yeah, I agree.
I like her resume too. It's well-rounded. Like she's a volunteering force. And her receptionist thing seems like it's good organizational experience building, so good for her.
Yeah.
Seems like she really wants to get involved.
Yeah, so through like all of her answers and everything, seems like she's a real passion. And the mission statement being like inclusive, transparent, responsive environment. Like these are all the things I want to
Yeah, I
hear
love
in
that.
my ASOE. So yeah.
Any more debate? Seeing none, now in line for any motions.
Move to recommend AOC nomination T Mendirata to the Senate floor by unanimous consent.
Any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for candidate Golda Lieberperson. G, and then last name Lieber, capital P, Erson.
I got it.
Nice. All right, 2 minutes of review beginning now. Does anyone need more time? Seeing none, we're now live for 2 minutes of debate.
I think it's really unique that this person is an RA, and I think that they could use that in some capacity to get people to vote or spread the word. I also want to point out that if this comes up during debate, that they were a campaign assistant, but I don't think that should discredit the candidate because they have not been, at least on their application, they weren't involved in either party at UF, and they were a former ASOE.
Yeah, I like this candidate. I like their answers, especially with, I mean, it's been said in other ones, but like transparency, education, all these things, I feel like those are good traits. They were previously an ASOE. My only concern was what we talked about, like making sure that because they mentioned a lot of positions they held, I want to make sure that none of that conflicts with what we talked
None
about.
of them
but-
conflict.
Okay, great.
I will say it's very cool involvement. It's rare to see
Yeah.
someone who's an RA, Student Conduct Committee,
TAPS Justice.
ASOE, TAPS Associate Justice, and on the Department of Housing Staff Advisory Board.
Yeah, it's like-
That is a
yeah.
very well-rounded applicant. I just want to point that out.
Yeah. I like this person.
It's Lieber person, correct?
Yes. Also, I believe that this campaign assistant position, so it's not UF student government whatsoever, but also it is just a consulting firm. I just looked it up. It's not specifically, interesting description of it, but
Yeah.
just wanted to point that out.
Doesn't seem to have any political affiliation that would prevent
Yeah.
stand concern.
And I mean, the experience within it is
Yeah.
very close to it in ASOE does so.
Is there any more debate? Seeing none, any motions?
I move to recommend G. Lieber person as AOC to the Senate floor by unanimous consent.
Any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We're now in line for Tobin Hertz, T, and last name Hertz. 2 minutes beginning now.
T Hertz.
Correct. Anyone need more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of debate.
This candidate seems to be really eager to serve in this position as stated in the first line of their resume. Wants to get really involved in elections, and it has a lot of prior experiences. Like, they definitely working at a law firm is a great experience to have in applying for this position.
I like that she mentioned that she's really familiar with the 700 codes. I feel like that's an often overlooked thing to put on your application, and that that's a really important thing to know.
I agree. That's like that really broke out to me, like caring about it, like knowing about the new changes and the new piloted programs. Like that's going to be huge for this campaign. So I like this candidate.
Any more debate? Seeing none, motions?
I move to recommend T. Hertz as AOC nomination to the Senate floor by unanimous consent.
Any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for Serena Hussein, S, and last name Husain.
2 minutes.
2 minutes beginning now.
It's S-H-U-S.
AIN.
A-I-N. H-U-S-A-I-N.
Does anyone need more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of debate beginning now.
I really like all their ideas. They seem they seem like a genuinely passionate candidate who cares about this position, who cares about what they're doing. They have real ideas. Like I love their answer to like what new ideas you implement. It's like very like this is what I want to do. This is how I would do it. She seems like she cares. She seems like a good candidate. I see no negatives to this candidate.
They served as vice president for an organization at their high school where they oversaw elections, and that is a direct experience. Although they're a freshman, I think that they have that experience from high school.
Any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to recommend S. Hussein as ASOE nomination to the Senate floor by unanimous consent.
Any objections? Seeing none, the motion passes. We're now in line for candidate E, last name Borick, B-O-R-I-C-K. 2 minutes beginning now.
B-O-R-I-C-K?
Correct.
Perfect. And B is the first initial?
Yes. Does anyone need more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of debate beginning now.
I think these ideas are really thought out. I also, in the first answer, they did a position for 5 summers that had taught them teamwork and collaboration. They also mentioned that they can bring new ideas throughout the process as ASOE. That's just good to me because I think that what they're trying to say is that they can bring more ideas throughout the process and not just what they have written down.
Yeah. No, I agree. The only thing I want to comment, this is not even specific to this candidate. Many candidates have stated they want to increase transparency through an education campaign, which I think is great. But I just like seeing how common that is. Like I think hopefully we can have a very strong ASOE team coming up that is really focusing on this type of transparency in education. I see that as a common thread in all these applications. But yeah, I like this candidate.
Any more debate? Seeing none, now in line for any motions.
I move to recommend E. Borick as ASOE nomination to the Senate floor by unanimous consent.
Any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for candidate Svetlana Martin, S, and then last name Martin, M-A-R-T-I-N. 2 minutes beginning now. Does anyone need more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of debate, beginning now.
For a freshman,
I think she's very qualified, and I think they're really qualified, and overall just
yeah.
has the experience.
For a freshman, she has like so much experience with this type of role. And I like her ideas. I think she's great.
Any more debate? Seeing none, any motions?
I move to recommend S. Martin to the Senate floor as ASOE nomination by unanimous consent.
Any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We're now in line for candidate D, last name Murphy, Murphy. 2 minutes to review, beginning now. Does anyone need more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of debate, beginning now.
I think it's interesting that she mentioned she has done the research, become knowledgeable on our government, student government, and that to me is a good sign that she will continue to do that and will really try to gain from her experience.
Yeah, I agree. To me, this candidate, I mean, they seem like they just got here. They're very new, but like I've said on the other freshman candidates, they seem like they care, and bringing someone in this early will help make a strong individual later on.
They have a lot of they have a lot of community service experience, and more, and specifically the voter registration organizer kind of jumped out at me as really applicable for this position.
Yeah, there is a lot of community service, and I think that is a good sign that they are dedicated to what they can do.
Any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions.
I move to approve candidate D. Murphy, or recommend to the Senate floor as AOC nomination by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We're now in line for candidate Lorena Gonzalez Perez, L and then GONZALEZ hyphen PEREZ. 2 minutes.
There is a hyphen, it's not like you just put it in, right?
There is a hyphen.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure. Something's not happening that way. And you said it's L?
Yes.
L Gonzalez, so GONZALEZ
ZALEZ.
PEREZ?
Yes.
Cool.
There is a hyphen on the submission to me from the SOE, not on the resume.
I mean, if they put it in the application.
Oh, it's in the application. Yeah,
If
okay.
it's in the application, it's
Sounds good. So that there is a hyphen.
Thank you.
All right, 2 minutes review beginning now. All right, does anyone need any more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of debate beginning now.
For the ideas section, they didn't really give any unique ideas besides following what we already have in codes. But this is a freshman candidate, and I don't want to discredit them because it seems that they do have prior experiences that could be applicable, like class treasurer.
I agree.
Yeah.
They fall in line with the other stuff I mentioned on freshman candidates. I wish their application was longer, but they seem like what I said. They care. They would be a good position, like all that.
Any more debate? Seeing none, any motions?
I move to recommend ASOE nomination L. Gonzalez Perez to the Senate floor by unanimous consent.
Any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for candidate Eliana Kirby, first name E, last name Kirby. 2 minutes start beginning now. Does anyone need more time? Seeing none, we're in line for 2 minutes of debate beginning now.
I really like this candidate. I'm like surprised by their experience. Well, one, they solved an election crisis, which is like for their for their homecoming court. But like, I feel like we don't see that for candidates of this type of thing, especially for freshmen.
Yeah.
And their ideas are like a real idea, like thought out, a good idea for spreading information. Like, I'm impressed by this candidate. I like that their skills is friendly. That made me happy. But I like this candidate.
I was going to say the same thing about fixing the voting concerns in their homecoming court. I think that that's a really unique thing to write and to think about putting on your application, and it makes me feel like she would be able to do a really great job as an ASOE.
Yeah, I agree. I also would second the idea. The idea section was really well thought out. And I'm seeing like a common theme in a lot of the like, having informational campaigns and stuff. So I just think it would be really cool to see one of these ideas.
Yeah, I agree.
Any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions.
I move to recommend ASOE nomination E. Kirby to the Senate floor by unanimous consent.
Any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for Natalie Dixon, N, last name Dixson. Wait. Okay, yeah, that's correct. All right, 2 minutes beginning now.
She went to my high school.
You can abstain, just so you are aware if there's a conflict of interest, but if
Oh.
there isn't, you are welcome to vote as well if
I
it
don't
comes
know.
down to a vote. Does anyone need more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of debate.
She did give one sentence answers. I wish she had written some ideas just to, I mean, she's a freshman, but I would, if this is her application, I wish she could be here to elaborate, and I think it'd be probably best to table her.
Yeah, I would agree. Also, she doesn't really highlight like in her resume any like leadership roles.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And more just like membership, which is valuable too. But I just think that this application is lacking detail.
Yeah, she like falls in line with previous candidate Hilliker, if I'm or no, not whatever. The previous candidate that we tabled on. Yeah, I don't discredit her. I just don't think I can judge her based off of this current application.
Any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions.
I move to table ASOE nomination N. Dixon by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for candidate McKenna Romero, M, and last name Romero. 2 minutes beginning now.
M period Ronero.
M and then Romero.
M.
Yes. McKenna. I do not know why the expected graduation year got partially blocked, but
Yeah, same with their email.
yeah, I don't know.
Who made the motion to table? Perfect.
You know.
Does anyone need more time? Seeing none, we're now in line for 2 minutes of debate beginning now.
I wish they had expanded more on their application for like the new ideas and for what motivates you. Just in general, it's very, very brief. Yeah, it kind of falls in line with the previous candidate. What do you
I will
guys
say
think?
though that this resume does highlight more of the
Yeah.
experiences.
Resume is definitely stronger. I would agree.
Yeah, also she touched on, in the first answer, interning at a law firm for 4 years,
Mhm.
and she enjoys the legal systems. I think that while she didn't have a really well-drawn-out application, that does show some level of credibility and talking about her hard work within it. So I think, yeah.
Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions.
I move to recommend ASOE nomination M. Ramiro to the Senate floor by unanimous consent.
Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. We are now in line for the last candidate, Nicholas Latore. First name N, last name Latorre.
RRE.
Yes. All right, 2 minutes beginning now. Does anyone need more time? Seeing none, now in line for 2 minutes of debate.
I think it's awesome that she was a student body president and student body treasurer at Santa Fe College. I personally don't think that's conflict of interest because there's nothing on here with UF student government, and I think that having those experiences, especially at Santa Fe, it could be really valuable.
Yeah, it's a very unique candidate having the previous SVP of another college applying. Her idea section interests me. The first part is like, I want to honor the previous initiatives that have happened. I'm like, okay, cool. But the easy to implement systems, I like the focus on simplicity. I feel like we don't really see that, like simplicity and versatility. Having a focus on that, I think, is very real for how we want to prioritize building our systems and moving stuff forward. And I really like that. The candidate seems just very qualified.
It's a different perspective. which
Yeah,
is
exactly.
important.
I have no qualms.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree that the Santa Fe experience definitely something unique about this candidate. It makes gives them like a background that we haven't seen yet, and I think it's valuable.
It's just unique, strong leadership experience. Really helpful. Take a new role.
Is there any more debate? Seeing none, any motions at this time?
I move to recommend ASOE nomination N. Latore to the Senate floor by unanimous consent.
Any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. That concludes the AOSE nominations. ASOE nominations. Do I hear a motion to recess for 5 minutes until called back by the chair? All right, yeah, everyone. All right, we are now in line for SSB 2024-1682. Seeing as there is no author or sponsor present, we move straight into the debate portion. 5 minutes beginning now.
I like the intent of this bill, like the amendments that change the legislative intent part. I feel like makes sense. Like there should not be an amendment that changes like the core of a bill, unless like I guess there could be like extreme extenuating circumstances. But I think for most things, this the legislation makes sense. I feel like, yeah.
I personally disagree, just because I feel like amendments are meant to amend the bill, and that's why there's like a voting procedure for it as well. It's not necessarily, I mean, legislative intent is also a little bit vague in my head. Changing a word could change a legislative intent, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the author would be opposed to it. So I think that adding something that says written amendments can't change a bill's legislative intent is putting too much of a restriction on what amendments can be submitted.
I mean, I think legislative intent means the purpose of the bill, and I think written amendments that would change that intent we shouldn't be changing the intent of a piece of legislation.
I agree. Legislative intent does feel a little bit vague, but I think it is a good word like for the idea of it. And also like I understand what you're saying, like amendments are amendments for a reason, but if we're amending a bill that then totally changes the bill, like I feel like we need a separate bill. I feel like amendment used in that way is not really an amendment, that's a different use of that, and I think the core of this is to not make that use. Because I feel like rather than amending a bill, like if we get a bill and then it gets amended, it's a completely different bill before it gets to be voted on, that's not really the core of an amendment. In my opinion, I feel like that's what I see as the intent of this by Pro Tem Cox. I think that is a good thing to pass. I think if we want to amend a bill to make it completely different, we can make a different bill, ideally. That is in my opinion, of course.
So I can elaborate a little bit on what this is attempting to solve. This is attempting to solve the issue that was brought up by numerous people. I'm not going to name names, but about legislation that, for example, passed the Judiciary Committee, and then an amendment was submitted to either strike the entirety of the bill and replace it with a separate bill, or it changed the intent to the point where the Judiciary Committee arguably should have been able to hear that again because the legislative intent was slightly different. And this would just prevent that, so it would essentially maintain kind of the... I believe what this is trying to do is make it so that when judiciary passes legislation, once it has been passed, there's not really any room for, like, legislative intent is there is a threshold there. It's not just like one word. That would be a significant change to what the bill does. For this happened with rules and procedures changes and resolutions as well. So this has happened in the past, and I see why it was written. I just wanted to bring that up.
That's the case that was in my mind, like opening an amendment and it's like the entire bill is stricken out and it's completely new. Feels like against the integrity of the original bill and of the Judiciary Committee, especially if that's like the core,
I agree, but I don't know, I feel like it's the right of senators to submit those amendments if they so wish. Like I said, that's not to say that the amendment's going to get approved and it's actually going to pass. But restricting their ability to actually submit that amendment, personally, I don't think.
I'm going to point something out. Technically, I believe this violates a rule. You cannot submit legislation that does two different things. This very clearly does two different things. So either F or G would be fine, but both in the same piece of legislation doesn't really work. I think it'd be fine. What is everyone's thoughts on G? Because I know we've been talking about F quite a bit.
G, I'm curious why like, I want to know more of the thought process behind this. Like, also, we have 30 seconds left if you want to extend it.
This is because at one point in time, there were 14,000 amendments
That's
submitted.
what I was assuming is, in that.
That's my assumption. I don't know if that's why he wrote this, but that's my assumption.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with the intent of this, but I don't know if, like, what you guys think about that.
Three, I
Three
don't.
sounds
Do you want to
great.
extend debate? We have 0 seconds.
We cannot extend debate.
Okay.
We've ruled against that a number of times. Are there any motions at this time?
I moved to table SSB. I don't know. I feel like, well, in the current, in the current state, I feel like we can't pass it based off what the chair just stated.
I agree.
Off of the two things, so.
I object.
Okay.
That motion been objected to.
I move to make an amendment.
Okay.
I move to strike F by unanimous consent.
Alright, just so that I have this on the table, did you revoke your motion off the floor?
She objected.
It was objected to and not remade.
It wasn't remade.
Oh,
To
you
my
objected to it?
No, she objected to it. She objected to my motion.
Okay, cool, so you made your motion, right?
I mean, I made it today. I didn't fully say it, but yeah.
SSB 2024-1682, perfect, by unanimous consent, it was objected to. The next motion is that she wanted to move to amend
Yes.
SSB 2024-1682 by striking through,
The letter F.
Clause F, I assume.
Yeah, the
clause.
whole clause.
Yeah.
Clause F. Is it lowercase f? Just want to make sure.
Yes.
All right, cool. Clause F of the proposed bill, and is that it?
Yes, by unanimous consent.
By unanimous consent? All right, cool, Chair. It's up to you now.
All right. Are there any objections to that motion? Seeing none, that motion passes. Subsection F has been stricken.
Should we amend to change G to F?
Yes.
Oh, okay, you can do it.
Are there any other motions at this time?
I move to strike G and replace it with F, so it is in order of the clauses by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections?
Repeat the motion again, I'm sorry.
To strike the letter G and replace it with the letter F, both lowercase.
All right.
Seeing none, no objections, that motion passes. Are there any more motions at this time?
I move to approve SSB 2024-1682 by unanimous consent.
I object.
I remake that by roll call.
All right, that motion has been remade by roll call vote. May the clerk please take roll.
So you move to approve SSB 2024-1682 by unanimous consent. That was objected to. And then you move to approve it by roll call, correct?
Yes.
Just wanna make sure. I'm gonna go ahead and just say initials, so it's the first and last, no middle initial. So EI, Elizabeth,
Motion to approve it.
no. EI, no. NG, nor,
Yes.
yes. NG, AH, Aaliyah,
Yes.
yes. AH, JR, Jackson,
Yes.
yes. JR, Arshad, AF,
Yes.
yes. AF, Daniel Weinberger, DW,
Yes.
yes. And last but certainly not least, the chair,
Seeing as my vote does not affect the outcome, I will abstain from this vote.
abstain. All right, by a vote of 5 to 1 to 1, that motion passes.
All right, in a vote of 5 to 1 to 1, SSB 2024-1682 has passed. We are-
Point of information.
Yes,
How much longer do we have this room? Until 4:15?
yes, that's correct.
Okay.
All right, we are now in line for SSB 2024-1, 683. Seeing as there's no author or sponsor present, we are now in line for 5 minutes of debate.
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. I wish I knew the intent behind it, but like.
Let's, you said 1683, right?
Correct. So,
And who was the author?
Pro Temp Cox. Yeah, I can actually give some background on this one. So, Senator Emeritus Monson wrote this bill, and we wanted to figure out why, for some reason, this position wasn't listed in the first place, because we didn't know if this was omitted unintentionally or if SGP comptroller was included unintentionally, and we decided just to include both of them. So. Is there any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to approve SSB 2024-1683 by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. So I'll move that over. We're now in line for SSB 2024-1684. Seeing as there's no author or sponsor present, also authored by Pro Temp Cox, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate beginning now.
I think this makes sense. I like, of course, the pro temp is not here to elaborate like why he chose to make this now, but I don't think this conflicts with anything. Does anyone or like the chair know what was the previous like procedure if someone was not notified?
So the seats were not declared vacant, which meant no one could apply and no one could fill the seat, even though that the seat was open. So now it's a requirement. This is a fail-safe. If they fail to notify the pro temp that they cannot be there for summer, that seat shall be declared vacant, just so other people can apply for it. We don't want to leave it up in the air. Same thing with the point after that, because all permanent senators have the ability to appoint a summer replacement, even those that are approved over summer. So, yes, technically they also have to.
Before the procedure was, he never heard from them, the seat could never be put vacant?
I'm not sure if it could never be put vacant, but I can yield to minority party leader Naidu. Do you know what happened with?
Previous procedure for if a senator wouldn't notify, like what would happen?
Yeah.
So do we have the same concern over this is a bill trying to do two things?
No, I think this is the same overarching thing, which is to clarify the summer vacancy rules.
Oh. Okay, what's the question for me?
What was the previous procedure?
Like for this part?
Like if the pro temp wasn't notified.
Well, they would just get an absence until 3 and then they're out. Like
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it would just follow like, oh, you're not at Senate 3 times or 2 times this summer and then you're out.
Okay.
But also this is confusing because if you didn't notify, wouldn't they just assume you're absent? How would they know that you're unable to serve?
That's a great point.
That doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, not able to serve for the summer term isn't clear enough, in my opinion. I think that is an issue that we should ask the pro temp about.
I think it's supposed to refer like if you're not here for the summer.
Yeah.
Because you're given the opportunity to not like get named as a permanent summer replacement, or sorry, a permanent senator, and then also not be here for the summer. But you just, if you didn't notify them, they would have no way of knowing. So the 7 days like doesn't make sense. I would honestly, as the pro temp, I would just assume, oh well, they're just absent today, and next week and next week. I wouldn't know that they weren't here for the summer.
Yeah, I think we should ask the pro temp about this before passing, just from a clarity standpoint.
Can you clarify your concern?
Yeah, so one thing is it's not specified what not able to serve means. So, for example, if a senator misses 2 Senate meetings at the start of summer, are we going to assume that they are unable to serve or that they were just absent for 2 meetings? One of those ways, they would be expelled from the Senate chamber and replaced. One of them, they would not. So
Okay.
that needs to be clarified, what not able to serve means. Whether that's a time frame, communication thing. Yeah. All right, any more debate? Seeing none, we're now in line for any motion at this time.
I move to table SSB 2024-1684 by unanimous consent.
All right, are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. SSB 2024-1684 has been tabled. We are now in line for SSB 2024-1685. Seeing as there is no author or sponsor present, once again it is Pro Tem Cox. We're now in line for 5 minutes of debate beginning now.
Is this basically saying that if a summer relations senator is for like one college, but then they apply for a permanent seat for another, then they would automatically resign and take on that new seat?
So this is changing it from if a summer replacement senator applied for another seat, they would have to resign before receiving that seat. This would change it to they wouldn't have to resign until after they have been approved. So if they aren't approved, they still hold the summer seat.
There's no vacancy.
Yeah.
That makes it more efficient.
So in this case, like the summer replacement senator, this resignation happens immediately. So once they get approved for the new seat, the other seat immediately gets resigned.
The summer seat gets vacated.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, seems good.
All right. Any more debate? Seeing none, we're not line for any motions at this time.
I move to approve SSB 2024-1685 by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. All right, we're now in line for SSB 2024-1686.
I move to move into the consideration of SSB 2024-1706 by unanimous consent.
All right, there has been a motion to move into the consideration of SSB 2024-1706 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. Why is my computer freaking out?
So we're now doing one, do we do 1685 already?
No.
So we're skipping that.
Wait,
Wait,
1680.
we
Wait,
just
we
passed
passed 1685.
Okay, cool. So
Yes.
we're trying to do 1686, and then we're moving into now.
1706.
Yeah.
1706. Who's the author?
Myself.
Why did John?
Hmm?
Why did John?
I didn't make the motion. All right. Okay, can someone keep the clock, please?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. All right, so we're in line for 5 minutes of presentation. All right, so this is the reapportionment bill that I submitted. You'll notice that it is blank. That is intentional for the committee to draft the legislation as it states in the rules and procedures. Continuing on, so I hope everyone knows that there is a timeline to do reapportionment. We were behind that timeline by a considerable amount when we passed this last time. That's why it's back up. The codes, or actually it's the rules, state that we have to submit reapportionment legislation to the Senate floor at a minimum 3 weeks before the fall student government election. So this had to come back up, and it's back up. This will go into effect for the 2025 year. So this is spring 2025, fall 2025. It does not affect this election. but the next two. This is how it's supposed to be. So for anyone who's here over summer, that was out of the norm by a lot. So now we're back in line with what the codes and the rules want us to do. I'm going to go over, can I see the clock actually? You can keep it running, I just want to see it. Yeah. Okay. Yep, I'm going to go over the map that we're currently using and what I think we should do. Keep in mind this is an opinion. The committee itself is the one who drafts the legislation. So basically we have to do spring and we have to do fall. Now, I have data from the spring of 2024, which is a year newer than the data that was used in the previous reapportionment drafting. Unfortunately, I'm not able to share that. I've been informed it's further protected. I'm not going to be sending it out. However, I can go over the conclusions that I drafted from this. So let's go over spring because it's more simple. Spring, basically what you do is you figure out the number of students in each of the designated colleges, including freshman, sophomore, all of the colleges listed, a couple professional schools, and then graduate. Everyone knows the rules. 0 to 29 credit hours classifies you as freshman. 30 to 59 classifies you as sophomore. Any more than that, you fall into your college's designation. The data shows that none of the schools should change seats at all. Fairly simple. What you do is you divide the number of students by the total number of students, you get whatever percentage that is, and then you multiply that by 50 seats. Whatever number you get out of that, for example, say accounting gets 1.22, you round every number down, and then you round the closest number to the next highest digit up if and only if the total is less than 50 seats. In this case, it worked out perfectly, and by going down for every single one of them, we hit 50 seats. Therefore, I believe that we should recommend to the Senate chamber to maintain the spring map exactly how it was last year. Data does not indicate that there should be any change. How much time is left?
2 minutes.
All right. I'll go over any questions you may have during the Q&A period. Nextly, I believe that we should move on to, dorm seats. Dorm seats have remained the same, aside from a few changes that combined a couple area governments and therefore combined several of the dorms, such as Key Springs residential complexes. We did that over summer. We codified it over summer. It was part of the injunction rule by the Supreme Court about a year ago. So I think that we should keep the dorms the same. The number of beds have not changed. The area governments have not changed since we drafted that legislation in the summer. Therefore, there isn't a whole lot to go over with that. Now, the most interesting data, as was the same over summer, is legislation surrounding the off-campus population here at the University of Florida. I will go over, how much time is left? A minute? All right, a couple of the numbers that I want to discuss. So in total, there are 58,440 registered students here at the University of Florida. That is all undergraduates and graduates combined. Of that population, 13,943, 50,661 are off-campus registered. That means their zip code is not one of the ones that contains only dorms. So of that 50,661, a total of 13,943 students are registered in Alachua County. This represents a figure of 28%, which is actually, I believe, the same percentage figure that we saw over the summer. So continuing on, yeah, actually, I mean, I figure that's as much as I can go over with the data.
10 seconds.
Yeah, anything else I'll go over later. But yes, that is what we're doing here with this map. We can either craft new legislation or recommend that the map be kept in its current state. I recommend that it be kept in its current state. We can discuss. All right, we're now in line for 5 minutes of Q&A, beginning now. Does anyone have any questions?
Just to go over springs, was there any issues last year with the map for the springs?
Not to my knowledge, no, and that has already been approved for this fall as well, so, yeah.
Can you clarify again, when we're supposed to have this in front of Senate by? Like, is it 3 weeks before the election, or that it can't be before 3 weeks of the election?
It has to be a minimum of, I can find the code really quickly. It's a rule, but yeah, I'll cite that.
Also, is it possible to, obviously I know it's our role as the Judiciary Committee, but is it possible to create an ad hoc committee to specifically work towards creating a fall map? Just because, actually this is Q&A, so.
Yeah.
Sorry, could you clarify a little bit more on the numbers for the off-campus?
Absolutely. So let me answer your first question. First, the Judiciary Committee will begin drafting apportionment legislation no earlier than the start of Summer A and must submit the legislation to the Senate no later than 3 weeks before the fall general election. We are 4 weeks out as of this Senate meeting. So that is a timeline. Yeah, I can go over the numbers some more. So of the data available to me, 58,440 total student population, 50,661 in zip codes that are not dorms, so not in the zip codes that are exclusively dorms. Keep in mind, the data itself doesn't differentiate between dorms that might be outside of those zip codes, so technically there's a slightly smaller number of students that are off campus, not very significant statistically, but there is some number that isn't accounted for there. The total number of Alachua County local zip codes, that is 32601 to 32653, is 21,722. The students living in residence hall exclusive zip codes is 7,779. So that leaves you with the 13,943 students that have a local address registered within Alachua County that is not in an exclusively dorm zip code. Yeah, I'll have this. I'll just leave it facing this way.
So then the students that we're accounting for when we're making the fall map are just the 13,000 that are registered with Alachua, or is it anyone who's 50,000? Like,
Can I?
It's everyone who is not in a dorm.
Okay.
So there are 50,000, roughly 51,000, but we don't know for a fact where 36,000 of them, or more than that, live in terms of zip codes, because they're all outside of Alachua County. So there are a couple assumptions. Yeah, this is. Any more questions? Seeing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate, beginning now. Is there any debate?
So question about timeline again. So 3 weeks before the election, even though this isn't for this fall election, does it still need to be 3 weeks before this election to count for next fall?
That's the goal. That's to get us back on track. That's what it was supposed to be last year when the Supreme Court issued its injunction. That acted as the legislation. What didn't happen was codification of that injunction until the summer. So what was passed over summer was technically supposed to be passed 3 weeks before the fall 2023 Senate election. Yes.
Okay. And that was codified?
That, yes, over summer.
Okay.
What was submitted to the folder is exactly the way it stands in the codes. There are no amendments. I will say, I think the language should be modified slightly. We use the word location. After reading through the Constitution, it makes more sense to use the word area, just to be in line with that. So we could always amend that. But the main decision is to change the map or to recommend it in its current state to the Senate in the form of this bill. And that's the decision. So I've had several people suggest to me to return to the district model previously used. So here is, I'm not sure if I can use this during debate, but it's not just on my computer, so if anyone looks cool. This is what I decided when I was going over, because what was suggested to me was a 5-district model with A, B, C, D, and E. The number is given, A representing, I believe it was 32601, and all other zip codes not listed within Alachua County. District B would be 03, 05, 53, might have been one more, And then District C was 07, District D was 08, and District D was all non-Alachua County zip codes. If you notice, District E is really, really large.
And what was District E again?
District E,
Yeah.
that's all non-Alachua County. That's because so many students haven't registered a local zip code.
Right.
So the numbers that gave me, so there were several amendments submitted by Senator Britton over the summer that delve into a variety of ways to make a district model. So the one that I heard most frequently went back to a very similar model before 2023. This was before the summer of 2023, which was 4 districts and then 2 seats for District E.
Okay.
That, yeah, those were I believe they were just called at-large seats at the time.
And does anyone have like anything against that specific district model?
Yes. So, yeah, my main issue is that we would have to make several key assumptions in order to have. The hardest part is figuring out how many students actually reside within each district.
Yeah.
How much time is left?
A minute and a half.
Because you don't want to miss a portion. You don't want to give the wrong number of seats to a district because then you're not giving the correct representation to different districts. So my goal was to be as accurate as possible with this. We know what zip code, at least with some degree of certainty, that 13,000 or so students, slightly more, live in Alachua County. The question is, what do we do with the 36,000 that did not put an address in Alachua County? The United States Census, which they use to create other election maps and redistricting at a state and federal level, that had a 67% response rate. Ours had the equivalent of a 28% response rate,
That's
which
fair.
is less than half.
But do you think there's any drawbacks to the current model that we have? With, just assigning 37 seats generally to the entire off-campus area?
I feel like the concerns with that are just, like, the district model always try to appease the concerns with like representation for districts and stuff. But I think like, the big concern over summer was like we don't really know where a bunch of people are living, so we try to attribute numbers to a district model. We're more likely to misrepresent in our current state of information we currently have than with the at-large. So, yeah.
I respectfully disagree. I think we have more opportunity to misrepresent the off-campus students by just attributing 37
32.
seats to the
Sorry.
entire.
Presentation's over. I know.
Oh.
I don't want to
Yeah.
cut you off. But.
Aaron, I'm not supposed to speak here, but I have something to say that might just like add to it if you give me 30 seconds. It's not about like which one's the best model.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys know, the UF Supreme Court met on Friday, and they had a case over apportionment where they had found, not apportionment, but the Constitution in general, where they found half of a sentence within the constitutional definition of apportionment was missing from the online version. It explicitly says that off-campus areas, plural, I went to mine's off-campus apportionment. That's something that they decided on Friday, and it's probably going to be sent out in a brief this coming week. But I wanted to make sure you guys were all on the same page as far as like they did that. So
Was that a preliminary hearing?
it was a preliminary hearing, but their outcome was the outcome was how do you fix the Constitution because there is this error, and how do future students deal with future errors in the Constitution? And they said we're going to dismiss the case because this doesn't belong in the Supreme Court. They're going to write a brief on, we need to fix the Constitution. We believe that the Constitution needs to be fixed, and that future students shouldn't go to the Supreme Court. Here's the process they should go through.
Okay.
So technically it was a dismissal, but they are going to write that. But that's probably going to be within the next week or so.
Okay. So there's been no ruling released aside from the dismissal?
Yeah, the ruling release will probably come within the next week, but they were going to tell SGAO to address that error as soon as possible.
Okay.
And I can send you the text if you want to know what the version is. But.
Okay. We're now in line for 2 minutes of final privilege.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. You're good.
Beginning now. Yeah, so I would like to specifically talk about why I think the 37-seat off-campus model does have a different implication than the district model, primarily relating to how it affords the principle of one person, one vote as nearly equal as practicable. This is something that's in the Constitution of the University of Florida. We want to ensure that all students have the same voting strength in their vote as nearly equal as practicable. That is something that is afforded with the 37-seat off-campus model. Furthermore, we're not in the business of guessing. There have been several conflicting arguments, in my opinion, for the district model. One that is predicated on the differences between the districts, but then assumes that response rates to student surveying is equal amongst all of the districts. I find that an interesting discrepancy between that. And to continue forward, I feel as though if the committee would like to discuss some of the 5 criteria here, that would be prudent, as the Senate did want to hear more of that on the floor last time. So I will lay the committee at rest if we want to discuss that. Just for the committee members, though, not to the members of the public, I think that would be helpful because that was one of the main concerns over summer. But I do think that arguments that had been made against this model, especially over the summer, one primary one that was stated to me was that one particular student felt as though this map discriminated against individual races and minorities, which I think is a serious point to bring up, that we do not intend to do that in any way, shape, or form. We have no data that would support any sort of discrimination in this regard. Furthermore, I'd like to go over Thornburg versus Jingles.
Your time's over.
Okay, thank you.
So how,
Yes, so I lay the committee at rest. For the committee members, I'm going to refrain. Please discuss any more concerns you may have on the 5 criteria. Yeah. Does everyone agree that that's an okay way to go about this, considering that we didn't cover it very much within?
Yes, but we have 10 minutes till out of the.
Okay.
so we'll,
It's just laid at rest for however much time until everyone feels as though they've had the time to express their opinions. Keep in mind, the audio is still recording.
I think for the 5 criteria, implication here of having this 37 seats for off campus, I think that does ensure the equal vote of one within the off campus. I think that's important.
Can you speak up, Mark?
Sorry, I said that I think that the one equal vote in the off-campus district is important, whereas the district model that we had before, it was kind of guessing and making assumptions. So I think that here with implication, that is really important aspect that it brings.
I would just say that, kind of going off of implication, I think that the implication of the off-campus, the 37 model is not accounting for the fact that, people who do not live in Alachua might not have the ability to vote as easily as people in other zip codes. And so in fact, we're kind of minimizing the amount of representation, the low amount of voters in those areas might get. So I personally think that the district model allows for districts that don't have as much ease to vote to still get heard in the Senate, because they're able to vote and the votes there do count, and they'll have more weight than in this off-campus 37 model. My concern is the votes of those who are in those counties that in those areas that are harder to vote, their voices are not being heard because they're not able to compete with the larger amount of voting population in other districts.
I'm curious when you speak about ease of voting.
Mhm.
Do you mean physically being able to vote, or do you mean I'm curious how ease of voting is in your argument, and how the district model will change that for certain districts.
Yeah.
If you're speaking on the power of the vote, I think that's. I'm just curious what ease of voting you mean.
Definitely, I think location, I think, is a big thing. Not being able to get to certain polling locations as easily as someone who's maybe closer to campus. that would be one of my major concerns.
Well, with the district model, E was the largest, and that is out of Alachua County. And so I understand what you're saying, but I think that is because students improperly put their address in what you have. And that is a really big problem that, that we see. So I understand your concern in that regard, but I also do think that with the district model, that is a really big problem that we have, so.
Yeah, my main, and also speaking on what the chair spoke about like race and demographics and things, I feel like that was something that a big concern I got brought up over summer, and obviously that's something I care about. But for like the current information we had, and that was a big part, is like we don't have all the information about where people live and where like how that truly matches up to the data. And just for demographics, I don't feel like we have the current like understanding and privilege to denote numbers to districts and voting to districts. I am all for ease of voting. I'm all for transparency, making sure people can vote, but I don't necessarily think the district model will like change that ease. And you know what I mean?
I understand that, but I think like that's something that we're not even addressing enough. The fact that we don't have enough polling locations
Yes.
to, account for off-campus voters, and also, there's a classist argument here where people who live off campus aren't able to come on campus as easily to vote as someone who lives on campus.
Yeah, of course. I agree with that. I think that's a great concern. I think make sure everyone gets to vote. And if you're talking about ease of voting in terms of like people that live farther away that may be less able to vote, I think that's an amazing thing to champion and work towards. But I don't necessarily think reapportionment is the way that we're going to solve that. I think in terms of like fully like numbers for votes to seats, I like this model. I think there could be a bill where we can work more on voting locations and making sure that ease, especially if we're going to bring in class and like that type of disparity. I think 100% that should be addressed. But I don't think that is necessarily this bill. You know what I mean?
I get that, but I think when it comes to this specific bill, the 37 at-large model is disenfranchising the voices of those who live in like the previous model, District D. Their votes aren't having equal counts. Like they don't have the same power.
Same power as who?
Well, statistically, they do.
We're talking about voters that don't have the same ease to get to these polling locations. There's not as many polling locations for them to have access to, so there's a lower voter turnout. And I disagree that they're not being disenfranchised. They're not being heard. Their votes aren't being counted the same.
Can I ask you a clarifying question?
Yes.
Do you feel that is your like perspective that for the people that live in off-campus districts that have less ease, then by giving their district more like voting power almost, that they are less disenfranchised because the votes that get in are more representative? Or is
Maybe
that
I'm using the wrong word. It's not necessarily voting power, but it's they're just not being able to get the representation that they deserve because they're not being fairly represented in this map.
I understand that concern, but we don't have the accurate number of those people because people are not correctly putting in their addresses, so we can make assumptions and whatnot, but that is the starting problem of this, and that's why I think that the 37 off-campus seats with our data, it makes no sense.
Just to, like, I do understand where you're coming from. I just want to bring up that the only information that is used in making this is the zip codes themselves. So, like, I didn't make any assumptions about the ease of anyone getting to a polling location because I didn't want to assume that based off of where you live, you are more or less likely to go vote.
Yeah.
What we're doing instead is just purely based on where students live. Are we able to accurately reflect the numbers in each district based on the information we got from the registrar? And my conclusion was that no, we were just missing so much of it. Like, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just don't have any data to support any of that.
So clarifying question, we're assuming that like because we don't have everybody's accurate zip code that they live here because they've inputted it wrong, that we can't divide it into districts.
We're assuming that because we only have 28% of the off-campus students, I was saying the 67% figure just to get a baseline, we know not everyone's gonna respond. It's just such a low response rate that there's bound to be error in dividing up those students. We can't assume a normal distribution of response rate. We can't assume that the proportion of students in District B before we add in the E students is the same as it is afterwards. So yes, because the response rate was that low, not just because it wasn't 100%, but because it was 28%,
Yeah.
that it wouldn't be prudent to just associate them into one district or another. It also raises logistical concerns. I'm going to point out that RNA is meeting. So we're in line. I'm calling the meeting back to order. We're in line for any motions at this time.
I move to approve SSB 2024-1706.
I reject.
Okay.
I
Amend.
amend, okay. For
Computer died.
Oh,
here,
I want to change the location,
Yeah.
locations to
Do
area.
you rescind your motion?
I rescind my motion.
I move to, should I?
Yeah.
I move to amend SSB
I might not have all
2024-1706
their access.
and change the wording of locations to areas to better match the Constitution by unanimous consent. Should we have to state where?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's- Yeah.
Okay, I got you. In 322.12, 322.11, and 322.3. Change locations to areas. By unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes.
And
Lisa.
Are there any more motions at this time?
I move to approve SSB 2024-1706 by unanimous, I remake that motion by roll call.
The motion's been remade by roll call vote. May the clerk please take roll? May the clerk please take roll?
I'm trying to pull up the attendance record.
Okay.
you're on it right now.
Yeah, but they have 15 minutes.
Start off with the Zulati,
No.
MG,
Yes.
MG, AH.
Yes.
yes. JR,
Yes.
yes. JR, AF.
Yes.
DW.
Yes.
Yes. DW, AR.
Seeing as my vote will not affect the outcome, I abstain from voting on this matter.
Alright. I have voted 5 to 1 to 1, that motion passes.
All right, and a vote of 5 to 1 to 1, SSB 2024-1706 has passed.
I move to adjourn the meeting by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, that motion passes. This meeting has been adjourned at 4:16 p.m. on Sunday, September 8th, 2024.